Welcome to our series of handover videos on Greenline yachts. Today we want to talk about the operation and the maintenance of the Greenline hybrid system. Let's start with the basics. Before you start your engines, make sure your breaker board is set up properly. You have your service battery main, you have your motor main, and make sure your clutch and cooling pump switch is turned on. Otherwise the hybrid system will not work. You turn on your Volvo ignition. The boat is set on electric power. That means your hybrid gauge is showing you motor, amperage, temperature and RPMs. So we are switched to electric power, so your hybrid gauge shows you motor, amperage, temperature of the motor and RPMs. So if I move in gear now, you will see how the motor is picking up RPMs, the 400 RPMs, shifting gear, and we are at 13 amps of consumption. So revving up the motor a little bit, you see how the revs come up and how the consumption amps go up. And of course, if you run the motor on a hot day, you see the temperature, what is in Celsius. Right now we're at 23.7. That gauge can go all the way to 90. What really you hardly see, it's usually in the lower teens operating. Bring it back to neutral. And now we're doing the switch over to diesel. You switch the motor over to diesel. Now you see it's switching from idle to generator. So now the E unit is in generator mode. Well, it means we're firing up the diesel right now. We have an open engine hatch, that's why you can hear the diesel running. And now when I rev it up, you will see how the amperage goes up now in dodging mode. Bringing it back to electric, you turn off your diesel, switch to electric, and then you see your gauge change from generator to idle and to motor. Very important, make sure you are in motor mode before you switch in gear, because if you do before it shows you motor, it will not go in gear. You got to go back to neutral and switch in gear. So make sure you're always in motor mode. Running on diesel, your clutch is engaged, your diesel spins your E unit and the shaft what goes into your gearbox and eventually the propeller. When you switch over to electric, the clutch actuator disconnects the diesel from the system and you're running your electric motor through the gearbox that will spin the prop. So we're switching from electric to diesel. Now you see the actuator let the clutch go in and connect the diesel to the E unit. So when you run on diesel, your diesel will spin your E unit, will generate power and go through the gearbox, turn the propeller. When you switch back to electric, and that's where you need to give the system time to disengage the clutch completely, because the diesel motor has to be completely disengaged to run the system on electric power. So now we're in the engine room and talk about the system, how it works, and the maintenance part of it. So here I am sitting on a standard Volvo Penta diesel. Here we have our clutch actuator, what actuates the clutch between the diesel and the E unit. And then back there you have your standard gearbox like every other boat. So here we have the one maintenance difference is we recommend to change the brake fluid from your clutch actuator on an annual base. So here you see we have the C-cock, your C-strainer. So the water pump pulls seawater in, sends it to the heat exchanger, and in the heat exchanger you have your coolant going through the E unit, what keeps your E unit cool. So if you do have a rise in temperature on your E-unit, you will have to check your sea strainer to make sure you have good water flow to keep the system cool. And that's basically it with the maintenance on your hybrid. So today we did our operational and maintenance video of the hybrid system on a Greenline 39. What is a single engine setup on other Greenlines with twins? It's basically the same, only you have 2 diesels and 2 E-units. Still 1 sea strainer and 1 heat exchanger. So that sums it up for today on our Greenline Yacht Hybrid maintenance and operation video.